Hi there. Now we are going to read lesson 76. I am under no laws but God's. We have observed before how many senseless things have seemed to you to be salvation. Each has imprisoned you with laws as senseless as itself. You are not bound by them. Yet, to understand that this is so, you must first realize salvation lies not there. While you would seek for it in things that have no meaning, you bind yourself to laws that make no sense. Thus, do you seek to prove salvation is where it is not. This is a powerful, powerful lesson, a lesson that is going to take us to a place that we have to rock our sense of truth. This was one of those lessons that completely had me look at life upside down. I had to turn it upside down. I had to turn it inside out because this particular lesson was making me get really, really real about the fact that what is of the ego and what is of God are totally, completely opposite to what the world has taught me was truth. So let's keep going. Paragraph number 2. Today, we will be glad you cannot prove it. You cannot prove salvation is where it's not. For if you could, you would forever seek salvation where it is not and never find it. The idea for today tells you once again how simple is salvation. Look for it where it waits for you, and there it will be found. Look nowhere else, for it is nowhere else. Oh my goodness. Truth is so simple. Paragraph number 3. Think of the freedom in the recognition that you are not bound by all the strange and twisted laws you have set up to save you. You really think that you would starve unless you have stacks of green paper strips and piles of metal discs. So let's look at what this is saying. All of us have been conditioned to believe that you need money, stacks of paper strips, dollar bills, metal discs, coins, that if you don't have that to pay for food, you're going to starve. But yet, God created a planet that is filled with fruit. God gave us fruit for free. We're the ones who sell it. God gave us a planet that is filled with everything that we need to sustain these physical vessels. But we really think that we have to have money to survive. Well, we have soup kitchens. We have people who give people food for free. But the mind has been conditioned that the only way that you can eat is if you have money. So we are in fear of not having money because we cannot eat. Sentence number 3. You really think a small round pellet or some fluid pushed into your veins through a sharpened needle will ward off disease and death. So what are these round pellets, pills? What is this fluid, IVs, medicines, things that we think are going to make us better? Again, this is going to turn our thinking completely upside down and inside out. We have been conditioned to believe that we have to go to externals to be healed, that we have to go to medical doctors, that we need medicines to heal us. You really think you are alone unless another body is with you. Most of us are afraid to be alone. One of the reasons we stay in relationships is for fear of being alone. One of the reasons we get into relationships is we're afraid of being alone because we don't understand what we are. We don't understand what God is. We don't understand the truth. So we have all been conditioned into needing medicine to get better, needing money to buy food, needing people to feel companioned. Let's go to paragraph number 4. It is insanity that thinks these things. You call them laws and put them under different names in a long catalog of rituals that have no use and serve no purpose. This is Jesus saying this, not Laina, although Laina now agrees with this. It is insanity that thinks these things. So the minds that have created these laws, these rules, these regulations, that have created these beliefs that have been selling us for thousands of years, beliefs about what it is that makes us better, what it is that allows us, to feed us, how it is that we're going to be happy if we have somebody else. we have been believing all kinds of things that really, as you will see if you let yourself receive what the Course in Miracles is attempting to teach you and go to the place where the Course in Miracles is going to show you real freedom, we have been participating with a whole bunch of rituals, of rules, of regulations that have all been made up. And we bought into that. And when we don't have things work for us, we are in fear that we're doing something wrong, that we're not going to succeed. The world is in a state today that these laws, these regulations, this insanity is breaking down. It's falling apart so that we can see through the veil, so that we can see what we have created with unconscious egos that are fear-based, greed-based, totally and completely opposed to the truth that God has created all of us equal, has given us the ability to heal ourselves, a world stocked with food, to feed us, a companion inside of us, because we have God inside that we would never be alone. If we knew the truth of who we are energetically, we cannot be separate. We cannot be apart from one another because we are one energy field, one consciousness. Let me keep reading. Paragraph 4, sentence number 3. You think you must obey the laws of medicine, of economics, and of health. Protect the body and you will be saved. Paragraph 5. These are not laws, but madness. The body is endangered by the mind that hurts itself. Let me read this again. The body is endangered by the mind that hurts itself. The mind that thinks negative thoughts, that thinks I'm not good enough, I'm not capable enough, the body can get sick. The mind that believes that you can catch illnesses, that you are getting it because your mother had it or your father had it. The mind that believes that at a certain age you're going to go downhill. The mind that believes things like that is hurting itself. We have teachers like Bruce Lipton, like Dr. Joe Dispenza, like, there's so many of them. Channeled information that is coming through into our planet from consciousness, coming through people, is beginning to let us know how powerful we are. So we're waking up from this illusion that our mind is powerless to the diseases of the body, but we're beginning to understand that the mind has been creating diseases in the body because the mind has been conditioned into a sense of powerlessness, and it is all that fear that has been the cause of the effect of the sicknesses that we see in the bodies. So sentence number 3, paragraph 5. The body suffers just in order that the mind will fail to see it is the victim of itself. So as soon as the mind begins to understand that it is powerful, the body will stop being a victim of itself. The body's suffering is a mask the mind holds up to hide what really suffers. Let me read that again. The body's suffering is a mask. As long as you can be paying attention to the body being what suffers, you're not paying attention to that the cause of your suffering is in your mind, because our ego doesn't want us to see how powerful we are. And guess why it is not taught to us that our mind is powerful? Because those who understood the power of the mind, who have used psychology in a very deliberate way to create fears in people, to send us into beliefs about medicine helping us, about school educating us, about religion being the way that we get saved, how about marriage between just a man and a woman is the only way to honor God. We've been conditioned into a lot of fears by people who understand that fearful people follow rules. Those same people who have activated these fears that we abide by don't want us to wake up. They don't want us to question these things. So we're in the midst of pushing back to institutions, systems that have taught us things that we have been afraid to not follow these rules. But we have to push back and not be afraid so we can stop following these rules, so that we will see that those systems will break down, but we won't. We will actually create systems that are love-based, that are infused with truth. So let me repeat this sentence number 4 in paragraph 5. The body's suffering is a mask the mind holds up to hide what really suffers, which is a mind that suffers from its lack of connection to God. It would not understand it is its own enemy, that it attacks itself and wants to die. It is from this your loss would save the body. So we have got to get really clear. Our mind is a powerful tool, but when we are not using it as a tool that it is intended to be used in service to the Master God, Master Love, when that mind has not been put in service to God, it becomes its own master. So the ego becomes its own master, and what is it going to do? What it can only do one thing, is live in fear, and it can only project that fear onto one possible place, and it is to a sick body. So let me continue. Paragraph 5, sentence 7. It is for this you think you are a body. Yes, we think we are a body to follow rules and laws and regulations, and then one day get sick and die, or old and die. That's, again, part of the programming. Paragraph 6. There are no laws except the laws of God. This needs repeating over and over until you realize it applies to everything that you have made in opposition to God's will. Your magic has no meaning. Magic being our making stuff up that is not in accordance to God. What it is meant to save does not exist. All of these laws meant to preserve a peace, meant to preserve society's well-being, all kinds of things that do not exist. There is no need to preserve something when God has already created everything whole, healthy, complete, and in the kingdom of heaven where everything is actually safe. Only what it is meant to hide will save you. The mind that is corrupted and believes in the ego is meant to believe in the ego as a way to hide us from our awareness of our oneness with God, with each other, because then we wouldn't have to follow these insane laws. We would really follow the law of God. And when we follow the law of God and we follow loving one another, treating our neighbors as ourselves, loving them as ourselves, because we have come to know that we're all created by the same creator, we would not need the insane laws that we use to hurt each other. Paragraph number 7. The laws of God can never be replaced. We will devote today to rejoicing that this is so. It is no longer a truth that we would hide. We realize instead it is a truth that keeps us free forever. Magic imprisons, but the laws of God make free. The light has come because there are no laws but His. Paragraph 8. We will begin the longer practice periods today with a short review of the different kinds of laws in quotes, we have believed we must obey. These would include, for example, the laws of nutrition, of immunization, of medication, and of the body's protection in innumerable ways. Think further, you believe in the laws of friendship, of good relationships and reciprocity. Perhaps you even think that there are laws which set forth what is God's and what is yours. Many religions have been based on this. They would not save, but damn in heaven's name. Yet they are no more strange than other laws you hold, but must be obeyed to make you safe. Jesus is wanting us to understand that anything that we believe is going to protect this body is a human law that has been created because it does not understand that we're not a body, we are free because we are still as God created us. We are the non-physical energy that we're cultivating a relationship with. We are pure spirit, pure soul. We are what is eternal and is never going to die. So when we're protecting the body, when we're following the rules of friendships, the rules of immunization, what are we immunizing against? We're believing that these bodies can be affected by other bodies, by other things outside of us. Clearly, it does not understand that the ego has projected the world that we see, that everything out there comes from our own mind. So if we want to change what is out there, we need to change our mind about what is out there. And this is the work of the Course in Miracles. This is the recognition that we've been believing a lot of things for thousands of years that have not been true. Just because we believe them does not make them true. Just because you agree with them does not make them true. So our mind has been set straight over all of these lessons. This is lesson 76. So we've been studying 75 lessons so far to understand that the mind is a really powerful. And everything that we believe, God says yes to, because God has given us free will to think whatever we want to think and have an experience of it. But the experiences that we're having that are creating our suffering are coming because we're believing egoic thoughts. And they're based on separation, they're based on specialness, they're based on rights and wrongs and haves and have-nots, and death and life and good and bad, on all kinds of things that are simply not true according to the laws of God that govern everything ultimately. And when we have the death experience and we return to our non-physicalness, we all go, oh yeah, that's true. That what I experienced in the world, what these rules that I followed were very, constraining, because they were trying to limit the power of a child of God, limit our ability to be creative and use our mind to heal ourselves, limit our need to follow human rules and marry who we want to marry, be with whoever we want to be with, not follow these ridiculous teachings that the church has given us that God is out there somewhere. So we live with so many fears because we're trying to be good citizens and follow crazy laws. Now the laws like stay on the right side of the road, all those things make sense. Those are common sense. But the laws that dictate what substance that God created is legal and what's illegal, who is right and who is wrong, who deserves to have the lesser taxes than whom. We have made a lot of laws that divide us and separate us. The laws that say that some people can be enslaved. The laws that say what women cannot be, couldn't vote. We have a lot of laws that have around the world. There are countries today that consider women second-class citizens, and that is law. That is acceptable to them. So we have a lot of things that we need to face that are human-made laws, ego-made laws based on fear that keep us separate and keep us from accessing the power that is within us, which is to think something and have it become manifest. And when we begin to think from a place of pure innocence, of oneness, of love, the world out there is not going to need these laws, because we're not going to be hurting each other. Why? Because we will know that we are all one. So we will be doing things to uplift and cooperate and collaborate with one another. So paragraph number 9. There are no laws but God's. Dismiss all foolish magical beliefs today and hold your mind in silent readiness to hear the voice that speaks the truth to you. It's a voice of intuition that tells so many of us these laws are nonsense. It is the voice of the young children today that cannot understand how we continue to pollute the environment. Young children who cannot understand how we allow these gun laws that are permit for the killing of beings. These young people who really are coming in with an awareness of the right that we all have to equality. Not only does the Constitution in the United States speaks to that we were all created equal and have the same inalienable rights given to us by the same creator, but then we have laws that go against the law of the land, which is our Constitution. I mean, it's insane what the ego has done. So sentence number 3, paragraph 9, you will be listening to one who says there is no loss under the laws of God, because God does not take anything away, ever, ever, ever. Only in the laws of humans do some win and some lose. Sentence number 4, payment is neither given nor received, because God has given everything to everybody equally, all freely. We should be back in the bartering days. And when we are bartering, we're actually operating with God's laws. That if you happen to live in an area that has apples and somebody else lives in an area where it's better, more conducive for cows, you trade that milk for those apples. You help your neighbor. You share with your neighbor. But we have created a system of haves and have-nots, of making money and losing money, that is insane. Sentence number 5. Exchange cannot be made. There are no substitutes, and nothing is replaced by something else. So the bartering is not because you're exchanging things you have this and I don't have this. It's because we're sharing what we all actually have. God's laws forever give and never take. That's why things get replenished on this planet. The plants, the fruit, the fruit bearing trees bear fruit again, season after season after season, because God does not take away. God only gives to us. God is a creator that extends. Paragraph number 10. Hear him who tells you this and realize how foolish are the laws you thought upheld the world you thought you saw. Then listen further. He will tell you more about the love your Father has for you, about the endless joy he offers you, about his yearning for his only Son, created as his channel for creation, denied to him by his belief in hell. Our belief in hell, in fear, in limitation, in lack, and not enoughness has put us in incredible suffering, and it has blocked the channels that we are. We are creative channels here, bringing more of God to extend to the world. But we have been suffocated. We have been conditioned to believe that we are less than we are. We have been turned into robots. We have been turned into cookie cutter people that keep repeating patterns. There's nothing creative about most of the jobs that corporate America has given us, most of the jobs that government gives us, most of the jobs of the military. These are things that we stop being creative and we just do what we're told, and we don't extend anything. Talk about hell. Talk about hell. Paragraph 11. Let us today open God's channels to him and let his will extend through us to him. When we allow ourselves to become channels and we open ourselves up to receiving in stillness the voice that speaks to us, the Father's voice, we align with something that is so beautiful, so grand, so incredible. Thus is creation endlessly increased, because from our creativity, more goodness will flow for everybody. His voice will speak of this to us as well as of the joys of heaven, which his laws keep limitless forever. He will repeat today's idea until we have listened and understood there are no laws but God's. Then we will tell ourselves, as a dedication with which the practice period concludes, I am under no laws but God's. Paragraph 12. We will repeat this dedication as often as possible today, at least 4 or 5 times an hour, as well as in response to any temptation to experience ourselves as subject to other laws throughout the day. It is our statement of freedom from all danger and all tyranny. It is our acknowledgement that God is our Father and that his Son is saved. Saved from what? Our ego. And our Father, our Creator, it is nothing but the creative power of all that is that wants to express itself through all of us. When we begin to operate from the truth of who we are, the loving beings, being the light of the world, being one with all that is, acknowledging our oneness, acknowledging that our purpose is to be happy, we're going to begin to shed. After first, we're probably going to be pretty pissed off when we begin to realize that we have been following rules and regulations that have been created by the egos of men and women who were operating, many of them, to oppress others because they understood the power of controlling others is through fear. So we're going to go through a period of some upset, but then we have to forgive ourselves for being upset for having followed these laws that have made us so miserable, that have created so much suffering on this planet, that have really created a planet where so many live in hell. Anybody who lives in hunger, anybody who lives in poverty, anybody who lives homeless, unless of course it's by choice, is doing so because they have failed laws that humans have created. Those are not loving laws. Those are not God's laws. So I'm going to repeat what it says here in this last paragraph, these last 2 sentences. We will repeat this dedication as often as possible today, at least 4 or 5 times an hour, as well as in response to any temptation to experience ourselves as subject to other laws throughout the day. It is our statement of freedom from all danger and all tyranny. It is our acknowledgement that God is our Father and that His Son is saved. When you're following rules, laws, regulations, ask yourself, is that a law that God would align with? Is that a law that is equal to everybody? Is that a law that uplifts humanity, that gives humanity freedom to be itself, to pursue life, liberty, and happiness? Because that is our purpose. So if the laws that you're following don't allow for freedom, for liberty, and happiness, make sure, and they're not equal to all, make sure that you are honest with yourself and you recognize that those are human-made laws. And there are no laws but the laws of God's, and those are the ones that we have got to begin to follow. Thanks a bunch, and I'll see you in the next lesson.